Traditional Korean desserts. They're delicious, sure. You have your duck, glutinous steamed rice cakes that go from pillowy sponges to mochi-like petit fours. Then you have your Yut-gang-jung, basically rice flour donuts soaked in honey. Or even Hanggwa, fried rice puffs coated in honey and a variety of toppings. And are any of these homemade? Absolutely not. These are either too complicated, time-consuming, and just outright expensive to make. No surprise these were banned historically. So are there any Korean desserts that are easy to make and don't involve a deep fryer? Well, yeah, and today we're making 3 of them. First things first, sweets aren't a part of the traditional Korean meal. These are more like snacks or treats, especially with tea or wine, like this 곶감말이, or dried persimmon rolls stuffed with walnut and cream cheese. And dried persimmon is this really sweet, sticky fruit that has a subtle, earthy smell that's like the Mexican mamey. I know it's hard to find, so you can sub with some medjool dates too. Just chop the tough top and the bottom stalks. Then you take your knife and open the persimmon like a book. The fruit should be soft enough that you can basically spread with your fingers too. Oh, and scrape the flesh to see if there are any seeds. These can be real bitter. And traditionally, this is when you put in the walnuts. But I'm spreading some mascarpone cheese because I'm fancy. You can also use regular cream cheese, of course. And the walnuts, make sure you don't put too many. If you're greedy, you really can't roll these. And each dried persimmon should give you about 2 rolls. Just close up the side with the walnuts and slice. The other half you can roll the same way. And you can try to slice this now, but it slices much nicer cold. So take some plastic wrap and, well, wrap like a Christmas cracker. Roll them around to make them as smooth as you can, tie up the ends, and put them in the fridge overnight. The next day, slice against the grain, and hopefully you'll get a cross-section prettier than mine. This is traditionally served with tea or rice wine, but for me, on a charcuterie board with a glass of chilled Riesling. And speaking of snacks, we'll make a Hanggwa that doesn't involve any skill or effort. These are Yut-gang-jung, and if you can make Rice Krispie treats, you can make these. You need 2 ingredients. One is any rice puff, and the second, rice syrup or Su-jeong in Korean. Just pour about 2 cups into your nonstick pan and heat it up until it reaches just over 220 degrees Fahrenheit or about 105 degrees Celsius. You can also add in a couple tablespoons of plain sugar if you want a more brittle and crispy texture. Heat off and pour in about 4 ounces of rice puffs and stir until homogeneous. Before it sets, pour the whole thing into a baking sheet, press and mold, and chill in the fridge. Oh, and maybe do line the baking sheet with parchment paper, not like me. Take it out and slice into any shapes you want, or just nibble with your fingers. I don't care. And I know this is basically just covered in caramel, but it actually isn't as sweet as it looks, which is the highest compliment you can give to any Asian dessert. But this last recipe is just sugar water, so yeah, I can't say that again. It's called Su-jeong-gwa, and it's basically mulled wine, minus the wine. For half a gallon or 2 liters, take 5 ounces each of cinnamon sticks and fresh ginger. And no, I'm not peeling the ginger, so make sure you check for any dirt or grime in the crevices. Chop the ginger into rounds and dump into a pot with the cinnamon. Pour in the water alongside 2 whole cups of brown sugar. And that's it. Let it burble anytime between 10 and 20 minutes, depending on how much you like fireball shots. Because yeah, it tastes very strong of cinnamon. Chill in the fridge, and if you're trying to make this fancy, pour into a bowl and garnish with some pine nuts. And what does it taste like? Spicy, sweet, and surprisingly light. This is definitely a go-to dessert in old-school Korean restaurants. So there you have it, 3 dead easy Korean sweet treats. But if you want me to make the hard stuff, let me know, because they do taste amazing too.